4 Chandras enter, only 1 Chandra leaves. Friends, welcome to the Chandradome. This is a special one-of-a-kind event where 4 of us with Chandra tribal decks got together to play for one amazing Chandra-filled night. This event was organized and hosted by Mana Curves aka Chase. It was played as a live charity event where viewers could donate for a chance to win prizes supplied by us, the players. In the end, we managed to raise $550, which is honestly a great amount for a small event with 0 sponsors. Our spicy Chandra playgroup consists of Chase aka Mana Curves, streamer and writer for TCG Player, Kess, game and toy designer and host of the Cast, Air Bubbles, streamer and cosplayer, and me. Hello. Chase, Air Bubbles, and I are all running the exact same commander, Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, which initially starts off as a pesky pinger, but flips when her spark ignites, turning into a full-fledged burn planeswalker. That ultimate packs some serious heat. Meanwhile, Kess is running Chandra, Acolyte of Flame as the commander for his deck, because there are no rules in the Chandradome. This Chandra can directly support the other Chandra planeswalkers by increasing their loyalty count. I'm running a modified version of my Chandra tribal deck that I showcased in a previous abridged gameplay video, so check that out if you want to see some more sweet Chandra gameplay, link in the video description below. This video will show a heavily abridged version of the game, so if you're interested in watching the full unedited game, you can find it in the video description below, along with links to everyone's socials and whatnot. This is going to be a red hot game, but you know what else is packing heat? Our sponsor, Card Kingdom. Head on over to cardkingdom.com and support the show by buying cards at sizzling hot prices. Yep, that's the best I could come up with for this plug, so one take, baby! Now with the intro out of the way, let's hop into the game. 3 of us have unremarkable turn 1s, just playing a mountain and passing, but Kess lucks out with the classic turn 1 Sol Ring, immediately using the extra mana to cast Relic of Progenitus as well. Air Bubbles plays a Seal of Fire, which looks pretty innocent until you realize that it can toast 3 of the commanders at the table. Chase starts ramping with Chandra's Embercat. Then Kess plays the first planeswalker of the game, but it's not a Chandra. It's Tibalt the Chaotic, a mystery booster card, because again, there are no rules in the Chandradome. Kess +1s Tibalt and randomly casts Blazing Volley, which does nothing at the table, very on brand for Tibalt. I cast Crow Mox, exiling Mana Geyser, and use that mana to ramp out Chandra Fire of Kaladesh. Air Bubbles debates between killing Chandra or her cat with Seal of Fire, and ultimately pops the seal to flambe the Ember Cat. Then Air Bubbles and Chase both play their own Chandra Fire of Kaladesh commanders. Kess plays Leyline Tyrant, a solid flying threat in a world of small planeswalkers. He then -1s Tibalt, randomly casting Dance with Devils, creating 2 devil tokens that ping when they die. On our turn, I cast Torbrand, Thane of Redfell, and pass, which is probably a goof because I could have used the extra 2 damage from Torbrand to ping and flip Chandra into a planeswalker, then -2 her to kill the Leyline Tyrant. At the time, I was worried about making enemies early on in the game, and I figured that Kess would then probably kill my Chandra in retribution with his devils, but looking back, I think this would have been the right play anyway. Rightfully scared of Torbrand, Air Bubbles takes him out with Devour in Flames, though during the game we missed that the spell requires returning a land back to hand as well. Chase pings Kess with Fire of Kaladesh, then casts Chandra Pyromancer, +1ing her to ping Kess and kill one of his devils. Kess plays the ready Scrap Savant and the secret all-star of any red deck, Tibalt the Fiend Blooded, white bordered for that extra spice. Then Kess upticks all his planeswalkers, looting with the ready, bad rummaging with 1 Tibalt, and again doing nothing with the other chaotic Tibalt. On his end step, I ping Chase with Chandra. On our turn, I ping Air Bubbles with Chandra, cast Faithless Looting to loot and untap Chandra, then cast Pyromancer's Gauntlet. another way to enhance the burn of all our Chandra planeswalkers. On end step, Air Bubbles pings us for 1 with her Chandra. Air Bubbles then casts Chandra Nilar and -4s her to burn innate Leyline Tyrant. Chase +1 Chandra Pyromancer to deal 1 damage to Air Bubbles and 1 to their Chandra to make them unable to block. Then attacks and hits with her Chandra Fire of Kaladesh, then casts Jaya Task Mage, untapping Chandra, then pings with Chandra, flipping her, +1s her to deal 2 damage to Kess, and finishes with Chandra Incinerator. One of the best support cards for Chandra Tribal, allowing you to turn your player burn into removal as well, and oh my goodness, there are so many times I'm going to be saying Chandra, it's going to be a mess, but it's also going to be amazing, so stick with me. Kess continues to not play any Chandras, and instead casts Karn Liberated, -3ing him to exile the Incinerator. Then he +1s Big Tibble to randomly cast Ignorant Bliss, temporarily exiling his hand until end of turn and then drawing a card. Then Kess ticks up Small Tybalt and Duretti to draw and discard 3 cards. With my current plan of staying inconspicuous and letting Chase and Kess duke it out for the best board state, I just cast Ugin the Ineffable, +1ing him to exile the top card of my library and attach it to a face down 2/2 creature. Air Bubbles ticks up Chandra Nilar to ping Chase, then pings with their commander, casts Young Pyromancer, untapping Chandra and pinging Kess, then casts Pia Nilar, making a Thopter token, untapping Chandra Fire Kaladesh again to deal the 3rd and final ping damage to Kess to flip her into a Planeswalker. Chase casts Chaos Warp targeting Karn Liberated, shuffling Karn into Kess's library and having him randomly put Chandra Flamecaller from the top of his library directly into play. A really sweet trade for Kess. Then Chase ticks up Roaring Flame to deal 2 damage to Kess, and upticks Pyromancer to deal 1 damage to Air Bubbles and kills the Thopter token. Kess plays Skull Clamp, blows up our Pyromancer's Gauntlet with a Braid, +1s the ready to loot, casts Chandra Acolyte of Flame and uses her 0 ability to put a loyalty counter on all his planeswalkers. Then he ticks down Chaotic Tybalt to randomly cast Dance with Devils and make 2 more Devil tokens. Then he ticks down Tybalt Fiend Blooded to deal 3 damage to Air Bubbles, and finally +1s Chandra Flamecaller to make 2 3/1 elemental tokens with haste, swinging the tokens at our Ugin. I block 1 elemental with the Manifest token and ping Kess with Chandra on his end step. Then I ping Kess with Chandra again, cast Chandra Fire Artisan, untapping Fire of Kaladesh, +1 Fire Artisan and play an Exiled Mountain, cast Sol Ring, ping Chase with Fire of Kaladesh, flashback Faithless Looting to loot twice, and untap Fire to ping Kess 1 more time, and flip Fire into Roaring Flame, +1ing to burn Chase. Oh my goodness, there are so many Chandras to keep track of. Air Bubbles cast Cathartic Reunion to loot some cards, making an Elemental token with Young Pyromancer, ticks up Chandra Roaring Flame to shock Chase, and ticks up Chandra Nilar to ping us. At end step, Chase casts Volt Charge to kill Young Pyromancer and add a loyalty counter to each of their Chandras, which Air Bubbles responds by casting Pyrohelix to kill Jaya. On Chase's turn, they top deck and drop down one of the best burn cards in the format, Fiery Emancipation. Things quickly heat up as they ultimate Chandra Roaring Flame, dealing a whopping 18 damage to each of their opponents, and gets an emblem that deals 3 damage to each opponent on their upkeep. Then Chase ticks up Chandra Pyromaster to deal 3 damage to Air Bubbles and kills Pia. Everyone's now on a tight clock as our life totals go down to single digits and keep burning. Kess tries to put out the flames by casting Chaos Warp on the Fiery Emancipation, causing Chase to randomly put in Furnace of Wrath onto the battlefield. This basically traded a damage tripler for a damage doubler, but importantly, this one affects all players, including Chase. After some thinking, Kess gets aggressive. Kess activates Chandra Acolyte of Flames to make 2 1/1 elemental tokens with haste, activates Chandra Flamecaller to make 2 3/1 elemental tokens with haste, cast Chandra Novice Pyromancer to bump all his elementals by +2/+0, then swings all of the elementals at Chase, dealing 32 damage and taking them out. That was the best Chaos Warp I've ever seen. Then Kess upticks Tybalt Fiend-Blooded to Bad Rummage, upticks Chaos Tybalt to do nothing, and -2s Daretti to swap his Contagion Clasp for his Ratchet Bomb in the graveyard. While Chase might be out, her emblem still runs hot, burning us on the upkeep. Desperate to try and win before the flames take us, I cast Jaya Venerated Fire Mage, boosting the damage of her red planeswalkers. I then +1 Chandra Roaring Flame to deal 3 damage to Kess, putting him dead on upkeep to the emblem. Then I cast our final card, Chandra Flamecaller, taking her up and making 2 3/1 elemental tokens with haste and swing in with all my creatures at air bubbles for lethal damage, stealing victory. Or at least until Kess reminded the table that he has Ratchet Bomb. Knowing he's dead on his upkeep, Kess decides to take vengeance on us by cracking Ratchet Bomb, killing all the tokens. Now my attackers are dead, just like my chances of winning. Then Air Bubbles cleans up the table, burning me away with Incinerate and Collective Defiant. Then they pass a turn, letting Kess die on upkeep to Chase's emblem. A fitting end indeed. Well, that was one crazy game. We were initially a bit worried about having 4 Planeswalker decks, as that can lead to slow-paced games, but turns out when they're all Chandra decks, the whole table gets burned down pretty quick. This match also featured one of the best Chaos Warps I've ever seen, swapping out Fiery Emancipation for Furnace of Wrath to make for an insane last turn cycle. And not only was this a unique concept and a sweet game, but it was all for a great cause, raising money for the charity Extra Life, which supports children's hospitals. So thank you again to Chase for organizing this and for everyone who donated and making this happen. And that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed your stay at the Chandradome, and until next time friends, see ya! Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, help us out by clicking the like button down below. And to keep up with the latest and greatest, make sure to click the subscribe button. And if you want to watch similar videos, click on the links appearing on screen right now.